Welcome to Tech Talk Thursday, Season 3, Episode 1. You may recall at the end of Season 2, I did a roundup of all the technologies that we had seen over 2020. Among those was the launch of the SERIO 6000 printer by ASYS at the ASYS Technology Days. I'm delighted to say that I have the product manager for the SERIO 6000 joining us today, Torsten Vegelahn. Welcome, Torsten. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Welcome, Douglas. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. So I was really excited to see the presentation that you gave at the Technology Days. It looks a superb piece of equipment. And tell us a little bit about the development of the SERIO 6000. Was it developed as a concept machine or to meet a specific customer request?
I mean, it's a long story, and I hope we've got enough time. Actually,
give us a reduced version.
It's a long time ago. We already started with smart features that make the life of our operators easier. And we always have to keep in mind customers asking about having people only on the machine working if they are required. And this was more than 4 years ago, the actual start to say, what can we make better? And if you look backwards, and you've been with us all the time, we started with IPEC systems for dispensing. We have done the modular camera unit, so you can quick inter-exchange components in between machines. You can put on grippers, for instance, for a pin placement system. And this was one big step towards this, let me call it, more automated, integrated machine to say, okay, what is needed, what is time consuming. And this was the intention far in the 2018s. We started with this development, and bits and pieces came to that with predictive paste measurement for reloading paste on the stencil, etc. But in the end, customers still said, we want less involvement of operators, and our biggest problem is that the operator needs to be exactly on the machine when we need to do a changeover, which is, right, I guess, the biggest task or the most critical task on the operation of a line. And this was the thinking to say, okay, what can we do for the future? And there we started to analyze how the line is working, what needs to be done if you have an order change, if you do a new setup, if you have a continuous run, big orders or small orders. And then we really made like a matrix and figured out, okay, the stencil change, paste change, or squeegee and stencil and stuff like that. And from there, we started. Yeah. We started in the 18s. And yes, to say, actually, it is in customer demand, but no one really said, do it like this. They just said, give us something better.
Right. Yeah, well, it's certainly an interesting development. I think if you put this together with, say, the Fuji NXTR, you've essentially got potentially the beginnings of a lights out factory, or a lights out line at least there. So what functions are performed automatically, and what's the takt time of the stencil changeover?
Right, let's look to probably the takt times. If we look today on the machines, I think the printer, a lot of people say sometimes is a bottleneck or causes a lot of problems. Yes and no. The takt time we have today, of course, we depend on the changeover time, yes, but we are not the bottleneck in the printing process. Normally not. There are other components in the line which are slowing everything down. So the focus was that we have changeovers compatible to today. If you look, let's start, if we run through the last board and then we know it was the last board we need to do a changeover. Today, you call in your operator, or you have a pulse system today, the operator maybe is on site, and then he starts doing a changeover and he needs about 2-3 minutes, depending how smart he is, how fast he is. Now, with the automatic machine, we know the last board has been delivered, and now APS starts to take the pins away automatically. We can start to swing up our stencil loader. We put the old stencil and the old squeegee in. We take the new one out, and we can do this in a compatible time frame what we have today if an operator is doing it. Okay. Now, this could be faster, but there are still some limitations. So we spoke about the stencil loader, which swings up. And we could swing it up much faster, but there are regulations and requirements that you should not exceed a certain millimeter per second velocity, just in case something happened. And we are still limited that you have these limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said in another sentence before, lights out manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
If there would be no human around, no one you could maybe in some circumstances harm, then you could definitely also move faster.
Yes.
There are limitations.
Okay, so what sensors or systems then did you have to build into the machine to make it fully automatic?
It's a total wide range, and if you remember this presentation, we need a new squeegee system. We can't work with the old squeegee system. We need technical solution for loading and unloading stencils, and of course, what we need definitely we need paste for printing. And now, pastes are delivered today in jars or in cartridges, and a little jar with 500 gram does not make any sense actually for the future. You need a 12-ounce jar with 1.2, 1.4 kilogram paste. And how often do you need to present or to supply a new jar, a new cartridge to a machine? Also, this has been checked, and we found out we need a kind of a storage in the machine. So we also integrated a paste magazine for the cartridges. So we store up to 9 cartridges in the machine. We can run, so to say, more than a day with the paste on site, or we can recondition the paste if it was coming out of the fridge before we use it. So, and that brings us to the next technical little hurdle we had. You have a paste dispenser. What are you doing with the paste dispenser to add the paste on the stencil? Today they are all pneumatic driven. You know if they are empty because there's a sensor. Now the new one is an electric driven paste dispenser. So it's really a weigh and the weigh dispense. We know exactly how much volume we have dispensed on a stencil. We can control it. And that also gives us the possibility to exchange this cartridge and load it out of the magazine, and also load an empty cartridge into this magazine. And this magazine can be served by an operator or can also be served from other cobots and AIV combinations. And this goes on through the whole machine, even to the squeegees. We need to change and adapt the squeegee length to our product. And the same thing, we supply the squeegees in a cassette together with the stencil, and the machine will take the fresh squeegees in and will use place the used squeegees in a cassette. So it's all clean in that side.
Sounds like a lot of engineering involved there, Torsten. As a functional machine at the end, does that make it quite expensive in terms of the amount of engineering that's had to go into building this machine?
It was, how to say, a long journey, because if we started with the first scratches until we get a solution, you notice you have a couple of copies you just waste in the beginning. And of course, basically you can say a more automated machine also requires more intelligent components, sensors, motors, drives. And if you have a little bit more intelligence in the sensors today, you have a little higher cost for this. Yes, it increases costs, but in the end, and this is something we work out with our customers, we have to identify where's the break even, what is the benefit of a more integrated machine, which takes over responsibility for certain things compared to other known solutions we do today. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, everything is in the price little higher than till it comes to commodity.
Right. Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, combining this with, say, the Fuji NXTR, it has the potential to be an operator-free line. Have you any plans to trial that with Fuji or somebody like that to try and see if you can make that work?
We have not installed any machine directly at the Fuji combination. That's what I can say. But that will happen. This I know for sure. And this will happen this year. Honestly, there are so much interest, so high interest in this system, in this concept, in this idea we present to our customers, that a lot of people say, yeah, we'd like to try it and we like to test it. But I think everyone can understand that we cannot have like 100 tests around the world. Corona on one side, but also we need the technical support on the other side. For the field tests in the beginning, there are 2 projects we focus on. And I think that will go. I have a little look to my calendar, and we should be through everything in the third quarter, because it's not only the machine, it's the software around, it's a material flow, and we have always to credit that customers also need to change their working behavior. You know, there are people in a line working 10 years one way, and now we come with a new machine and say, look, you do different now.
Yeah, I mean, have you got any machines actually doing beta testing on customer sites at this point?
We do have machines for beta testing out. Yeah.
Okay, good. So as you said, by Q3 this year, you expect that you should have everything ironed out and working. So maybe by Productronica, we could see a live working example on the show floor, we hope. Yeah.
I hope that we do have a Productronica and that we can start with the shows this year again. Yes, definitely. Because, I mean, automation on the machine side is one thing. And what we also need is the software side above. You know, we have the shop floor level, and then we have where our machines are, and then we have, of course, MES level and everything for administrative involvements above. And to route the material from one point to the other point, and that it's exactly at the right spot when we need this. We need a material logistics software. And this is also one of the developments, and this is a colleague of mine, is taking care about the Pulse Pro suite. How do we get the materials and how do we route and schedule all the robots? For the future, for the full automated smart factory. This is another step. I mean, in the beginning with the SERIO 6000, this is, I think, a very, very strong point of the machine, not strange. We can do it asynchronous with people. I can prepare the machine today, and the machine does the changeover, and later on, and this is also one of our thinkings, that we make machines future orientated, so you can use them in the future too. Then you can integrate it in the complete network, and you can automatically load and unload the printer. And then you have your smart machine, smart factory.
Well, it certainly makes a lot of sense. I mean, of course, the smart factory is a journey that we're all on, and it kind of started out a little bit with Hermes, which of course ASYS was part of that initiative as well. So for the changeover of each job and that type of thing. So I hear what you're saying, that we now need to have more integrated software coming from the MES down onto the line and managing all the materials and logistics within the factory space. So that's quite a job. But yeah, I think it's you're certainly on the right track, and it's exciting to see new products coming into the market. I want to thank you, Torsten, for telling us about it today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.